Here's what's happening right now. Missouri African-American leaders say politics should be a two-way street between black voters in Jefferson City. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Reed.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. Today, a forum for candidates vying for Missouri House and Senate seats allowed Mid-Missourians to start an open dialogue. KOMU8's Ashley Holt attended the forum and joins us now in the studio.
We're not doing a gotcha with the candidates, is what one coordinator of the forum told me. The civically engaged African Americans in Columbia Forum sought to connect black voters with politicians, not just to get the answers to questions important to the black community, but in turn to be a resource for politicians wanting to tackle those important issues. Education, profiling, economic disparity, and voting rights are all topics organizers feel are important to discuss, and they hope this isn't the end of the conversation. All of those running to fill Missouri House and Senate seats in Boone County districts were invited. However, only the 6 Democrats were present.
It's very important that we know which candidate is going to champion our causes because we are seen to be left out in this political fight.
I need to find out the issues that are important to everybody in the community.
I spoke with the one Republican who RSVP'd to the event, Don Waterman. He canceled due to sickness, but told me he plans to meet with the coordinators of the event in order to gain insight.
A group of students protested on MU's campus today concerned about racism and student debt. Today is National Day of Action Against Racism and Student Debt. A group of students affiliated with Concerned Student 1950 protested outside Jesse Hall this morning. They say college debt is a huge factor for African American students and graduates. MU's Student Financial Aid Director says the problem of college debt is something the university acknowledges.
So at the University of Missouri, the average debt at graduation is about $23,000, which is short of the national average, which is about $29,000. So at Mizzou, we do a much better job of working with our students to make students aware of their student debts, to make them aware of financial literacy initiatives, to make sure that we can work together to make college affordable for every student.
We're protesting because 60% of college students around the nation are in debt. And it coincides with Black Lives and racism because a lot of black students find themselves having to take out loans in order to stay at these universities, which we're very qualified to attend.
Pruitt says he does not have the demographic breakdown on student debt at MU.
5 months after his resignation, the future and even the present is still uncertain for R. Bowen Lofton. He's currently working for the university, but in a different position from what was said last fall.
In his first on-camera interview since he stepped down during the protests on MU's campus in November, Lofton tells us about his transition out of office. KOMU8's Jasmine Lee talked to the former chancellor and tells us what she learned.
No, I have no hard feelings, no regrets, nothing. I mean, I live life one day at a time.
The former chancellor of MU says he is moving forward.
For the past several months, I've been really following the direction of Interim Chancellor Foley.
As far as the supposed original plan of him working as the head research director at Tiger Institute.
I believe it comes down to there was no time for the kinds of conversations you would have to explore a possibility. Things happened very quickly. Out of my control in many respects.
The UM system said Lofton did not assume the position with Tiger Institute because Cerner did not agree with Lofton getting the position. However, Cerner says they have no input on university hiring practices and nothing was presented to the Institute's Board of Governors for consideration regarding Mr. Lofton. Lofton says the events of last fall made his transition even slower.
The pace of events last fall just precluded the kind of normal development process you might go through to make those kinds of relationships happen.
For now, he says he only has one focus.
I'm not ready to retire yet. I think I have the opportunity to help the university further, and I'll do that as long as I'm allowed to.
It was Jasmine Lee reporting. Lofton said he did not teach any physics classes this semester despite his current professor of physics title, and no official position has been created for his services.
More of britches and Quintons went down today in downtown Columbia. The demolition will make room for the Rise apartment structure, another student housing complex. A City of Columbia official says the process could continue into next week. The next steps include clearing out the rubble where britches stood and piling dirt tall enough to start destroying Quintons.
From the lake, the Highway Patrol arrested a Sunrise Beach man for sex offenses and drugs. 35-year-old Richard Brown was arrested and charged with promoting child pornography, possession of child pornography, and possession of meth. He's being held in the Camden County Jail without bond.
Missouri's crash fatality rate is up 16% from 2015, making it the highest in 3 years. So MoDOT has been digging into crash data. KOMU8's Stephanie Sierra tells us which type of accident is causing the most deaths.
Safety on the road is always a priority, but our roadways haven't been getting much better. In fact, lane departure crashes made up 81% of driver fatalities, which took 1,910 lives, compared to 346 deaths due to intersection crashes. And MSHP says these rates aren't very surprising.
It's not surprising because year after year the leading cause of crashes in Missouri is inattention.
Officials say they see it all the time.
And we see a lot of these times where drivers will run off the right side of the road, overcorrect, and then cross into the other lane.
Some local drivers said the numbers are hard to believe.
No wonder we have so many accidents. That's bad.
MoDOT reported over 50% of drivers involved in these types of crashes were just not wearing their seatbelts.
The zero tolerance policy on people not wearing their seatbelt. If you're found not wearing your seatbelt, you'll get a citation.
White says
For a closer look at the 3-year trend and how crash types have changed, you can visit our website, KOMU.com.
A public hearing today for a bill that would increase the penalties for hit-and-run drivers. A mom shared how her son was killed by a hit-and-run driver last September. She started a petition to raise awareness on what she says is a low penalty for hit-and-run drivers.
We need to tighten the loophole. We actually reward people for fleeing the scene, and that is a tragedy. It's becoming an epidemic.
Stevens also says the current law does not address penalties for drivers who stop and refuse to offer any help.
Ameren Missouri says a new initiative will save its lighting customers money. This month, the company started the process of switching out old street lights with new LED ones. Lighting customers will save an estimated $2 million a year. The new LED lights will also use about 55 to 65% less energy than the old ones did.
They use less than half the energy. That means less generation, less carbon. And when we're done with this will save as much energy as the same as 5,000 homes every year.
The project will take about 5 years to complete. The new bulbs will be replaced when either needed or if an old one burns out. Ameren plans to replace 125,000 lights.
Sure felt like spring today. Let's send it over to Kenton for a check of the forecast.
Jim, thank you very much. We did start off a little bit warmer today even. We were right around 32 yesterday morning, but this morning we were a little bit closer to 40 degrees. We got up closer to 70 even by the afternoon. Some areas, especially over to the west, did reach that 70-degree mark. Right now we're at 59 in Columbia, still 61 at Jeff City, and 55 at Versailles and Lake of the Ozarks and Boonville as well. Winds are from the east only about 6 miles an hour. They're going to stay really right around that 5 to 10 mark, not only today but throughout the day tomorrow as well, with a 43 to start off the day, and we're going to get right back up to around 70 degrees by the afternoon with a lot of sunshine. And then in the allergy report for Thursday, we do have high levels of tree pollen. Coming up later in the show, I'll have a look at our 8-day forecast and when we could expect more rain.
From Mid-Missouri model to primetime television, a Columbia native has expanded her portfolio to New York City. KOMU8's Taylor Reed joins us to explain how she made her way to Project Runway.
She might be a small-town girl, but model and entertainer Aaliyah Saunders says growing up in Columbia has given her an advantage in the big city. Since a young age, Saunders says people always told her she should be a model, but it wasn't until her teenage years that she ran with the idea. After taking what she refers to as dorky pictures in her backyard with her mom as the photographer, she landed her first job at Exposure Model and Talent in Kansas City. Saunders says her career has been a whirlwind of jumping at opportunities that ultimately led her to Season 5 of Project Runway All-Stars as a runway model. Her advice to young models with similar aspirations: be independent, persevere, and when the going gets tough, keep going.
You do kind of just second guess yourself, because it's probably not a bad thing to kind of step back and be like, hey, you need to realize like what you're going into. Just think about what you're about to do. Can you handle it? Is it going to be too hard? I don't know. But yeah, I've had those times where I'm like, I don't know if this is the right thing, but I've never stopped. And I always take that as a sign, like everything kind of happens for a reason.
Saunders says that being a dork and playing with the camera well are two qualities that have helped her in her success. She also credits growing up in Columbia as a reason for her humbleness and openness.
Coming up, new footage of a mayor accepting a bribe. It's hard to ignore.
And an earthquake shook the foundation of India today. Now citizens are working to recover.